Hi, Justin. It's Judy. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. I know.
You're the daughter of a very well respected Reverend Julius Cheeks, so that probably has something to do with your interest in music from the beginning. But could you tell me a little bit about where you grew up and what the environment was like for you as a kid growing up?
Okay. Well, I was born in Miami,
Oh,
and yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that? Oh,
No.
okay. Yeah, I was born in Miami and into a family, and when I say family, I mean an extended family of gospel greats. Because
Mm,
of my father. At a young age, my mom used to bundle me up, and sometimes, we'd follow him, different, shows all around America. But as I grew up, it became, I don't know, a part of my life to have people like Sam Cooke or the Dixie Hummingbirds or, the Davis Sisters or, Edna Gallman Cook. These are pioneers of gospel music and people who were trailblazers. I mean, they really sacrificed a lot of their lives and paved the way for a lot of young entertainers who entertain who enjoy luxuries and stuff that people of my father's age could only dream of.
mm,
They traveled through Jim Crow South, and
uh-huh.
endured, beatings, being
Mm,
tortured by, cops on the road just because
mm,
they were black people traveling, and kept their faith in, you know, spreading the love of Jesus.
mm-hmm.
So they were attacked by people who were carrying crosses,
Right, yeah, I
hanging
know.
bodies on trees. So, but as a child growing up, the amazing thing about these people,
Hmm.
they get on stage and, their performances, they weren't really performances. They were like, just an explosion of a spiritual power. And I
Hmm.
think that power was fueled by the things they endured. It's
Mm.
like when they sang a song, they didn't use I call it vocal
Uh-huh.
acrobatic, what they do now. They do a run just to show you that they are vocally capable of doing a run.
Yeah.
Whereas in those days, if someone did a run, they felt it.
Right.
And even the background vocals, I call it raggedy singing, because like if you listen to people like the Harmonettes, I don't know if you've ever heard of Dorothy Love Coates and the Harmonettes, but those women, I mean, or even if you listen to the Davis Sisters,
Hmm.
those harmonies, I mean, they would ring from their souls. I mean,
Hmm.
as if they kept them in, they would explode.
Right.
That they would always be, I mean, every move they made, every note they sang, every trill, every frill, every run,
Hmm.
it was done, from the spirit of them. So it was real, and that's why they touched the souls of so many people. So, but behind the scenes, there was a lot of laughter and a lot of good cooking and good food and good
Uh-huh.
you know. So I was just, I call myself the gospel brat because they spoiled me rotten because, I was always around and because of my father, they considered me, theirs.
When you were surrounded by all those great people that you were talking about a moment ago, did you do you remember having a moment where you thought to yourself, um, "This is my calling. I want to be a professional singer," or did that kind of just happen? Because I mean, it's funny because I was looking at the notes on the back of your first album, and it mentioned something about you being the blind date of a band member who introduced you to Ike and Tina Turner. So that was kind of interesting, but I don't know. Maybe you can
That's
shed light on
wrong,
that.
actually. I wasn't a blind date.
Okay.
What happened was, my mom and I never did get along very well. And even though I had a scholarship to go to the University of Miami, I escaped all of that. I wanted to just get out of Miami. And
uh,
I really wanted to sing. But my father, he never discouraged me, but he never really opened the door and and made it easy,
Okay.
He didn't, I had to do it on my own. And I guess he figured that if I did it on my own, I'd have the strength to sustain all the stuff that I would go through, because, it's not easy. And then I was told later by one of his colleagues, he didn't want you in the business because he was trying to protect you, he knew what the... But anyway, what happened was, I went to L.A., and I got into a talent contest and at a nightclub, and it just so happens that Jackie Clark, who was then the guitar player for Ike and Tina Turner, saw me, and he says, "Oh my God, I got to take you back, and Ike has to hear you." And I was like, and I wasn't really an Ike and Tina Turner fan, but I thought, yeah, okay. So I was with a girlfriend, and so we went to Bollock Sound, and Ike said, okay. So he sat at the piano, and, he said, let me hear you sing. And I sang, and he got on the phone, and he called Tina. He said, get over here right now. You got to hear this girl. So, so she came over, and I'll never forget how beautiful she was, because all the images I had seen of her, with Tina with this wild hair and just this wild woman. And she was so demure, she had on a little cap, and her skin was smooth and beautiful, and her nails were immaculate. I mean, she was such a lady.
Wow. Yeah.
I expected her to, at least have rough nails or something, but no, she was really the epitome of femininity.
Wow.
It was really, so anyway, so from then, it became another family, like they were like my surrogate mother and father, because
really?
I was going through a whole lot of issues about, my mom and I had, we just didn't get along, basically. Because I looked so much like my father, and his absence kind of stirred all kind of things in her, and so that wasn't pretty good. So they kind of helped me through that period of being a young girl trying to find her way, but they never would let me feel sorry for myself. So, if I walked to the studio, and I had these clogs. I don't know if you remember these clogs, but they were thick shoes. Yeah. So, I'd come in the studio, and Ike would say, you know what, Judy Cheeks? He would always call me Judy Cheeks. He would never just say Judy. He would say, I'd be in a good mood, and you coming in with them ugly shoes.
That's funny.
Just ruin my day. Go buy you some shoes.
Wow. Wow.
And also, he would, depending on what mood he was in, he'd give me a bass guitar and give Tina, an electric guitar, and say, okay, you guys go in the studio and just play something. We'd sit there, and then on other days he would say, okay, Judy, you go in the studio, and he'll say, oh, you can sing, you're wonderful. And then he would say to Tina, you can't sing. And then the other day it would be, oh, Tina, you can sing, Judy, you can't sing.
Wow.
It was constant mind games.
Wow.
But it's unfortunate with Ike that his musical ability and the things he accomplished as a black man in his time will not be what he will be remembered for. I mean, most people don't know Ike did the first rock and roll record, and he won't get credit for that, because all they will remember is about another side of him. And that's really sad, but that's how it is. Then shortly after that, I moved to Germany, and that was because I had been away from Ike and Tina for a while, and Ike found me, because I only moved from Inglewood to Hollywood, but he couldn't. I did a very good job of hiding out.
Wow. Okay.
And then he found me, and he said, come on back down here, and let's talk and whatever. So I went back, and they were happy to see me. And Tina said, well, Jude, we're going to Europe. Come on and go with us,
Oh,
and
wow.
I said, yeah, so I said, okay. So packed my bags, went to Europe, and when I was there, people from France and Germany approached me and said, well, this was during the Donna Summer thing, and I said, well...
Now, were you singing background for Ike and Tina in their shows over there? Is that what you were doing?
Accidentally.
Oh, okay.
Coincidentally, it happened because one of the girls, Yolanda, one of the Ikettes, got sick.
Oh, okay.
And because I said I was never going to I can't dance to save my life. Trust me. If they said we're going to kill you unless you dance, I would die, because I just can't dance. So I was like the joke, because, Tina wanted me to be an Ikeette. I thought, oh, no, you're not going to kill me on that stage. But anyway, when Yolanda got sick, Tina said to me, "All right, Judy, put on Yolanda's wig and put on her clothes and get on that stage."
So you were just
and that
going.
was in Paris. And after that performance, these people came up to me and said, you could make a really good career here. Why don't you stay here and all of that. And then when we got to Munich, the same thing happened. The lady from Areola Records said, Donna Summer started here.
Oh yeah, right.
So when I got back to LA, the Germans were very persistent. They just said, hey, we really want you to do this. So I got on a plane with $35 in my pocket, and
wow.
And that's how that's.
So they pretty much offered you a deal to do this.
Well, I had friends who lived in Stuttgart, which is from Munich, where Areola is, and I stayed with them for a month or two, and I learned German because they had, I think Tom was about 8 then, maybe 7, and I used to do his homework and just speak to him in German, and so I slowly learned German. So by the time I moved to Munich and did the deal and everything with Areola, I didn't feel as lost.
Interesting,
living with family for a few months, you kind of get the way things are done and stuff. And they were wonderful friends, and they really they helped me tremendously.
Another notable thing about that situation, and maybe I don't know, you could say if it was unusual or not, was just in that album that you did with Areola, over there called "Please Give Me This Night," you were involved a lot in writing, with your producers like Anthony Mann and Ronnie Williams, including the song that introduced you to the world at large, "Mellow Lovin'." So was that something that they just said, "Go for it, give us what you've got," or did you push to have your own material on there, or how did that work?
Well, one advantage of being, English speaking in a German speaking land is, you have people who do music, but they can't speak English well enough to write lyrics. And they knew from, the demos and everything that I could write. And so, it was just understood that Anthony Mann would do the music and I would do the lyrics. So, and that's what I did. And so therefore wrote the entire album except for Suspicious Minds that insisted we do.